Hello again. We're talking infertility in the Health and Science Focus today. Now, partners who struggle with infertility usually feel quite isolated, which might lead to depression and sometimes an end to the romantic relationship. Now, experts suggest that it's important for a couple to be surrounded by a supportive family and friends. Well, one couple who also struggled to conceive decided to create a safe place for others going through infertility challenges. Zwane and his wife Karabo join us this morning to tell us more about Hannah. You Are Not Alone. That is an NPO that they've started to do this. Zwane, thank you for coming through. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So let's talk about your journey. Let's go right to the beginning. Karabo, we'll start with you. When did you realize, you've been married for 16 years, when did you realize there was a complication?
The first 4 years of our marriage, we were not trying to have children. So we were on contraceptives. And I think it was after a year, year number 5, when we were trying and nothing was happening. The second year, we went for a procedure for doctor to check what could be the problem, and still he found that there wasn't any issues. We tried artificial insemination twice, and it did not work. And few months later, we had our first miscarriage, which was a shock. But also it brought hope, because then we thought, now probably this might happen again. Then we had another miscarriage. Then that one was the one that I think got us to a breaking point. And while doctor was doing some investigations, they found that I had antiphospholipid syndrome, which was causing the recurring early miscarriages.
How does that cause it? I mean, just a very quick idea for anybody who's wondering. What does it actually do?
So antiphospholipid syndrome is an autoimmune disease that causes antibodies in your body to fight against a forming pregnancy.
Okay, so it kind of attacks something that's seen as a foreign body in the body.
Right.
Okay, so when you heard this diagnosis, was it somewhat of a relief to say, okay, now we have an answer, or how did that make you feel?
Shockingly, when we found out about it, we were already pregnant. And I was put on medication for the duration of my pregnancy to make sure that I don't miscarry again. So it is something that is treatable under careful observation by doctor. I was put on Clexin for the duration of my pregnancy.
Well, Jerry, what were you going through? I mean, often we focus on the woman and her pain, and yes, it is an enormous amount of pain. I'm also having experienced similar things with miscarriages as well. But how were you feeling at the time, as the dad, the would-be dad? And also, you'd had a son already. You'd had a son, before that.
Yeah, so at first, because of as Dr. Nene explained, primary versus secondary infertility. So at first, just in this bubble of my own, of denial, that I can produce. So the problem, the spotlight is not really on me. But just from a support point of view, understanding the dynamics of oneness, I tagged along initially, but I would have never thought that I'm the suspect. But as we consulted gynecologists, not really a neurologist, I was also subjected to investigations to say, let's just make sure, let's check both partners. And to my surprise, I also had a morphology problem. I also had a sperm count problem.
Okay.
So
you had dual things you were dealing with at this time.
Exactly.
That must have been tough.
So the woman is not always the one that could be at fault. I hate to use that, but us as male as well could be challenged.
And I would suppose, and I could be wrong, but lots of men don't want to subject themselves to this. I don't know what it is that you were told, but in my experience and just hearing stories of friends and family, often is it that you find, especially with the Hannah, You're Not Alone now, the NPO, that a lot of men go, but it can't be me. There's no way it's going to be, I'm not going to go for that test. It becomes a bit of a macho thing.
Yes. Yeah. So in general, we as males, we are ego beings. Even just the normal sickness, going to the doctor or consultation is the last thing. you always try to find a solution by yourself. Unfortunately, when it comes to infertility, people also become involved in infidelity. Go look for help, assistance somewhere else. And we are quite fortunate that throughout our journey, we stuck together. We defined the marriage not as a result of having children, but it's just about the couple, either with child or not.
Okay, so you found out about your autoimmune condition. You were pregnant at the time. At the same time, you found out also there was a complication with you and the sperm count. What happened after that?
The struggle was not over. At first, I thought now that we have a son, then our fertility problems are over. But 2 years after he was born, we had an ectopic pregnancy, which led to one of my tubes being removed, and had 2 more miscarriages afterwards. And the latest one was in February this year.
I'm sorry. And that's very painful, I would imagine. Have you stopped trying now? Or would you continue?
I think we are on a break. It takes a lot emotionally to go through that. So it's something that we're taking one day at a time, and hopefully in the future we'll consider it.
What did you have to do in that time to make sure that this child was going to be born? Like you say, you have your son now, he's 8 years old. What did you have to do? What were the precautions? What were the things that you had to watch out for not to, both of you, Jerry?
On her side, as she said, she had to be on the medication, which I must say out there, if people have gone through it, it's very painful. So she will have to inject her tummy every day.
Oh, okay,
other than that, it's just to maintain the pregnancy, eat healthy, emotional support had to be there, family, friends, our faith community. So you always need that, because like she said, we had the miscarriages before. So, always not sure until the last hour. So we just had to, stay positive, stay, cautious, if I can use that word, until he was delivered.
So you're lucky enough, from what you tell me, to have had support around you. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people we know face stigma, especially traditionally, in many cultures. There's a lot of stigma. A woman is seen as a failure, that your body is failing, your body is not doing what it's supposed to do. Did you experience that on any level?
Yes, most definitely. I think because of the misinformation around infertility, people tend to stigmatize what they don't understand. So he's from a very deep Zulu culture, from KZN, and it was difficult at first for family members to understand what we were going through. It was also difficult for us to relate the message to them. It seemed like something that was very private. It gets into, religious beliefs as well, where they would suggest, how about we do umsebenzi for amadlozi, whereas that's not what we believe in. So then, belief conflict comes in there. And also, surprisingly, even our fellow believers, some said to us, you are not praying enough. You should fast for 40 days and probably the Lord will hear your prayers. So we found that, yes, people were uninformed about infertility, and hence people are going through so much.
Jerry, how did you deal with that? You probably wanted to punch every person that said that, didn't you?
Yes, in defense of the family, the man must stand up. But as she said, it's quite a private, sensitive area. Even with my dad at the time, it's really hard, to get him to understand, accept, and then come along and support you. So for me as a male as well, it was mostly a lonely journey. There were friends, close friends, that I could open up because that's the key. So at HANA, you are not alone. We are creating these opportunities, these platforms for people to come out. So at the time, it wasn't so abundant or prevalent. So you just had to rely on your close network.
I mean, you sound like you were just positively there all the time, supporting each other as well. Was there ever, though, a point where either one of you or both of you felt, we can't do this, or your relationship battled, or you said, let's give up,
Yeah.
let's give up, and let's not even do this again?
Yeah, we did get to that point. After our second miscarriage, I fell into depression, and I started going for counseling. And I remember the counselor saying to me, asking me a question to say, why are you living your life based on something that might not happen? When you have everything else in your life that is going well and that you can celebrate. And from that moment on, we decided we're not going to try anymore. We sold shares that we bought for baby cots and all the baby equipment. And it wasn't long after we've given up that we actually did fall pregnant.
Isn't that a common occurrence, though?
Right.
It's like couples, often we hear that. I mean, there are movies about it. They go on and adopt a child, and like a couple of months later, they find they're pregnant.
Right.
Like you say, you decide, I don't know, I'm just not going to think about this too much,
Right.
and then it happens.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is there an answer for that? Is there what is it?
I will attribute it maybe to stress, that you just put yourself under so much pressure. And then you believe it's all up to you, you must make it happen, you must put this money, all this effort, precautions. But when you reach that point where you give up, you sort of relax, and then you take one day at a time. And then I think that's a big factor that can make couples to fall pregnant.
And did you find that you couldn't be around other people who had children? Did you stay away? Like you say, you fell into a depression. Did you just not want to see other people with children or kids in the shopping mall or whatever it was?
I remember I used to miss church during Mother's Day because during that time, you know, they would ask all the mothers to stand and they would receive gifts. And at that moment, you feel out when you know you've been trying artificial insemination, you just got negative results not so long ago. So it becomes terrifying to be in a place like that. Baby showers, weddings, wherever people are gathering, and you know that you might get a question, when are you having a baby? Then I'd rather just stay at home.
Yeah.
For me as a man as well, I remember relating the story to her. If you just walk down the mall and then you see a pregnant lady, pregnant woman, you know, at some point it really got to me to say, why not us? You know, what have we done?
Yeah, it's why us. That's often the question. So tell us about Hannah. You're not alone. You've taken all this pain, and the joy that you eventually had. You've taken all of that and created something for others. Who's Hannah? Why is it Hannah You're Not Alone?
Hannah is a non-profitable organization that was founded 3 years ago, mainly to bring support to couples that are struggling with infertility. The name Hannah is from the name in the Bible of the woman who struggled with infertility, and our message is that you are not alone. We have information sessions where we invite experts to talk to people, educate people about different diseases around infertility.
And as a group, do you often meet, or is it how are you doing this? Is it sort of like, you know, other support groups, or
we've got a strong presence online.
Okay.
So
well, this year especially, I suppose.
Yes, social media. So we send out encouraging messages, quotations. We've published a story of Michelle Obama as one of the people who struggled.
Oh, I didn't know she'd struggled.
Before that, we didn't know.
Yeah, imagine that.
So we put it out there, encouraging stories. During lockdown, we also have live webinars on Sundays where we share. Before lockdown, we used to have live sessions, symposiums. We'll come have breakfast together. Really encourage each other.
So what are the stories you're hearing from those couples? What are you hearing from them? I mean, we've heard your story, but every couple has a unique story, I'm assuming. What are their struggles? What are their common challenges?
First of all, there are some really good stories that we are hearing as well. Someone that has been going through IVF, they've tried their third cycle, the fourth one was a success, and they are pregnant. They send us pictures of their babies. and it's wonderful to see the impact that we are bringing to people. But also you find that a lot of people still don't have information about sperm donor, egg donor, and a lot of Africans, it's difficult for them to take options like that because of our belief system.
Yeah.
So we do have those challenges, and as Jerry said, in most cases it's not easy for men to come out and talk about their fertility issues, moreover support their spouses.
And Jerry, what do you say to them?
Yeah, the message is simple. You are not alone. We have to break the silence. It's not just Hannah. You are not alone as an organization. We've met organizations as far as Uganda. We collaborate. Here in South Africa, there's other sister companies we work with. Okay. The message is one. We go to medical aids, lobby for support, etc., etc. So the message, either you're a male or female, trying to conceive, you are not alone. Please reach out to us and see how we can assist.
All right. And just a last word from you, Karabo, to for people who are feeling utterly hopeless today in the situation that you found yourself in years ago.
All right. Please go out and seek as much information as you can. There's platforms like HANA, House of Fertility, IFASA, that you can find online for more information.
Fantastic. And thank you for your efforts. Thank you for creating a space where people can come. And I wish you all the luck with the future and whatever it is you're going to be trying. And all the blessings be with you. Thank you so much. That's Jerry and Karabo Zwane, the NPO, in case you missed it. Hannah, you're not alone. That's where you can find them if you find that you are just battling with this at the moment. Thanks so much for joining us on the Health and Science Focus today. As always, helping you help yourself. Till next week. Bye-bye.